At the edge of a forgotten town, the old Blackridge Manor stands silent, shrouded in the fading light of dusk, its shadows stretching across the cold, cracked ground. The rusted iron gates groan open slowly as if calling the brave or the foolish to step into a place where the past refuses to stay buried and death lingers. Inside, a lonely lantern flickers weakly in the thick darkness, its fragile flame dancing nervously with the whispers of countless lost and forgotten souls. The floorboards creak under invisible footsteps, each echo carrying the memory of lives long gone, their shadows haunting every corner of the abandoned hall. Within the grand hall, decay rules completely. Peeling wallpaper falls like old memories while the wind carries faint, mournful whispers through broken walls. Portraits of the long-deceased family watch silently from cracked frames, their eyes following every motion, guarding dark secrets that dare not speak aloud. The clock remains frozen at 3:15 a.m., the hour when time itself seemed to shatter within these walls, leaving the house suspended in an eternal, eerie stillness. A mist of ghostly whispers glides silently between broken furniture, drifting like a forgotten breath of life that lingers stubbornly in the cold, stagnant air. In the shattered mirror, reflections twist and waver unnaturally, offering fleeting glimpses of a world just out of reach, one filled with shadow and muted screams. Down the endless hallway, lanterns sway as if touched by unseen hands, while creeping fog conceals shapes and shadows that should never exist in reality. A rocking chair moves slowly on its own, creaking softly beneath the pale moonlight, rocking back and forth as though guided by invisible, restless spirits. How the antique music box plays a soft, eerie melody, its off-key tune stretching through the hall and chilling every corner with the echo of forgotten sorrow. A tall shadow darts past the doorway, moving with impossible speed, disappearing instantly before anyone can comprehend what just crossed their line of sight. Fog descends the staircase like a living, breathing creature, carrying soft whispers that crawl along the walls and seep into every crack of the cold house. A ghostly silhouette flashes briefly in the window, hollow eyes staring through the glass with a haunting intensity that freezes the soul of anyone nearby. Plates rattle violently on the dining table as though invisible guests are seated, their unseen hands striking with deliberate, chilling force in the stillness. An old photograph blinks unnaturally, the woman inside smiling faintly before returning to eerie stillness, as if mocking the living from beyond the grave. The root cellar door creaks open slowly, revealing endless darkness and the faint sound of slow, deliberate breathing that chills the blood of anyone nearby. Cold fog snakes through cracks in the walls, swirling in the lantern light and moving with strange purpose, as if alive and aware of every presence within the manor. The lantern's flame suddenly turns a ghostly blue, flickering wildly as though reacting to an unseen presence lurking just beyond sight. The narrow hallway stretches unnaturally long, bending like a twisted nightmare, each step echoing through shadows that seem alive. Victorian boots leave fresh footprints in the dusty hallways, though no living soul has walked there in decades or perhaps centuries. Colored reflections dance across the cracked walls as wind rattles the broken stained glass windows, creating eerie moving patterns. The dusty telephone rings sharply, the sound startling in the silence, while clouds of dust burst into the air with each ringing tone. A cold, translucent handprint slowly forms on a foggy mirror, lingering as though the spirit behind it is trying to reach the living. A Victorian woman glides silently across the balcony, her flowing gown moving unnaturally, brushing the fog as if it were solid air. Sheets rise from the furniture as if something hidden underneath breathes, shifting shadows across the floor in the pale lantern light. Ancient locks turn by themselves with sharp metallic squeals, echoing through the empty hallways as if the house itself is awakening. The chandelier swings violently, scattering crystals and sparks everywhere, the violent motion accompanied by distant ghostly whispers. In the basement, a lantern reveals jars filled with preserved, unsettling shapes, each one staring silently with unblinking, hollow eyes. Torn curtains wave like grasping hands within the fog-filled corridor, reaching out as though desperate to touch anything that moves. An antique piano strikes a discordant note, its harsh sound sending chills down the spine and echoing through every darkened corner. Diary pages flip rapidly, ink shifting across them as though alive, forming words no living hand has ever written or seen.
Forgotten.
A child's toy rolls across the floor on its own, moving with intent, pausing slightly as if aware of every step of those watching. Windows slam shut all at once, dust rising in violent clouds, leaving the room silent again except for distant, echoing creaks. A dark figure stands far down the hallway, motionless, vanishing instantly the moment anyone dares to approach or peer too closely. Wallpaper peels away slowly, revealing glowing ancient runes carved deep beneath, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat of the house itself. A candle melts unnaturally fast, its fragile flame trembling and flickering, as if the light itself is afraid of the surrounding darkness. A swarm of moths bursts from the wardrobe, fluttering in slow motion, filling the room with a haunting, whispering wave of wings. The mirror reflects a Victorian girl standing behind you, though no one exists, her pale eyes watching silently. Doorknobs rattle violently as if shaken by unseen hands, twisting with deliberate force through the stillness. An antique sewing machine operates aggressively in the darkness, stitching strange patterns with relentless intent. Victorian boots hang by ropes from the ceiling, swinging gently in still air, casting long, eerie shadows across the floor. Thick fog forms the faint outline of a human figure, then slowly dissolves into nothing as if it was never there. Cracked portrait's eyes glow faintly, tracking every movement in the room with an unnatural, silent intelligence. An old photograph burns backwards, reforming mysteriously before your eyes as though time itself flows in reverse. Shadows stretch unnaturally long across the cold wooden floor, creeping forward as if they have a mind of their own. Books fly from shelves one by one, thudding softly yet purposefully as though arranged by unseen, ghostly hands. Dust orbs float intelligently in the moonlight, drifting through hallways and moving as if aware of everything around them. Darkness deepens suddenly as two faint glowing eyes appear, staring unblinkingly from the hidden corners of the room. Kitchen pots clang violently, metal trembling under an invisible grip sounding like the presence of a restless spirit. Curtains billow inward despite the windows being tightly closed, moving as if drawn by some cold, unseen wind. Invisible footsteps echo around corners ahead, moving with precise intent but revealing no source to the living eye. Dead branches scrape the windows with sharp, rhythmic scratches, tapping and scratching like a ghostly message. An old cradle rocks harder and harder, the floor creaking beneath its weight as if a restless spirit rocks an unseen child. Piano keys slam down aggressively, rattling the entire room, filling the air with harsh, discordant notes of terror. Fog crawls across the ceiling like a living creature, stretching its tendrils slowly, wrapping the room in thick, cold mist. An antique camera flashes suddenly, revealing faint, ghostly silhouettes standing silently in the corners of the dark room. A tall man's silhouette stands behind frosted glass, unmoving, watching with an intensity that chills the very soul. A hairbrush floats through the air, brushing invisible strands, moving with a ghostly, deliberate rhythm. Clock hands spin rapidly before snapping to a sudden stop at midnight, filling the room with eerie stillness. Burnt footprints appear one by one across the dusty floors, as if someone walked through fire and vanished. A typewriter pounds the word "leave" repeatedly, its keys clacking violently in the empty, silent room. Mist pours under doors like a cold, silent waterfall, flowing slowly and filling the corners with chill darkness. An antique globe spins endlessly, stopping only to point at the same ominous spot, refusing to move further. A painting bleeds black liquid from its eyes, leaving streaks that stain the cracked wall with thick, dark lines. A lantern explodes into sparks, scattering light wildly, then slowly reforms as if the flame itself were alive. A portrait smiles sinisterly for a brief moment, then returns to an eerie stillness, leaving the room unnervingly quiet. Hands bang loudly inside the wooden walls, making the entire structure tremble under the unseen force's power. Shadows pass behind closed doors as lanterns flicker violently, moving in sync with something unseen within the house. Lantern flames tremble as books vibrate on the shelves, shaken by invisible hands with deliberate, ghostly intent. Translucent handprints slowly form on cracked, foggy windows, pressing outward as though something watches from beyond. A Victorian woman stands silently on a fog-filled staircase, her presence rigid, her gaze unblinking and filled with dread. Hallways bend and twist like a warped, nightmarish dream, the walls curling unnaturally as if alive with malice. Wardrobe doors creak open by themselves, spilling inky darkness into the dim corridor like a living shadow. Ghostly arms reach from shattered mirrors, stretching outward before fading away into nothing, leaving only cold air. A ghost streaks past the camera in a blur, moving impossibly fast, vanishing as if swallowed by the very shadows themselves. Door knockers slam repeatedly on empty doors, echoing through the manor, each strike vibrating with unnatural force. Lanterns light themselves in pitch darkness, their flames flickering with an eerie glow, illuminating unseen horrors. Suits of armor turn their heads slightly, as if following invisible footsteps that echo through the empty halls. Child laughter echoes down empty corridors, distant and hollow, chilling anyone who dares to listen too closely. Portrait eyes cry black ink like blood, streaming down the canvas as if mourning the living who enter the room. Journals write new lines by themselves, the ink forming words of warning no human hand has ever written. Thick fog forms floating human heads before dissolving slowly, lingering just long enough to terrify the observer. Shadows crawl quickly across ceilings, stretching unnaturally, twisting and writhing as if alive with dark intent. Clocks ring 13 times in eerie tones, each chime echoing impossibly long, marking hours that do not exist. Dead leaves whirl inside closed rooms, spinning in erratic patterns, moving as though directed by unseen hands. Ghostly women pass silently through walls, gliding without resistance, their hollow eyes searching every corner. Windows crack in intricate spiderweb patterns, the glass shivering with the pressure of something pressing from within. Lanterns swing violently as screams echo through the manor, the sound bouncing off walls in terrifying resonance. Basement doors slam shut with unstoppable force, the echo vibrating through floors, leaving a lingering sense of doom. Ancient symbols glow faintly on floors, their strange runes pulsing with a dark energy that seems aware of intruders. Ghost hands scratch deeply into wallpaper, leaving marks that appear fresh even though the house is long abandoned. Empty wheelchairs roll slowly through fog, moving as if occupied by invisible, restless spirits roaming the halls. Dark figures stand behind reflections, their forms twisting and bending in mirrors, watching the living with silent malice. The surrounding forests shake violently as if alive, branches thrashing and groaning under some supernatural force. Lantern flames reveal trapped silhouettes frozen mid-motion, their shadows writhing as if struggling to escape. Hallway lights turn off one by one, plunging the corridors into darkness and leaving only the sound of distant whispers. A ghostly face appears suddenly, screaming silently before fading into darkness, leaving nothing but icy, empty air.